welcome to the Shae weapon reveal. This weapon is a new rare weapon for Shae, called the Sa-dhu. Let's just get straight into the basics of the weapon, to show you how it works exactly. So when you aim down your sights, you'll notice that there are 6 sections in the middle. These are your lock-ons. The icon is also a 3 bullets, which designates the sextuple shot being available. However, when you aim at an enemy, these 6 lock-on sections will lock on to all enemies within your field of view. In this example, there's just 1 enemy, so it locks on all 6. But when there's 2 enemies, it locks on 3 and equally distributes it to each. Now what happens when you fire the gun? It'll shoot 6 bullets in very rapid succession at the enemies that are locked on. Now you can see here the icon has gone red, meaning that the gun is completely pressurized. You now have 2 choices to depressurize the gun. You either shoot the gun, which is now in a slower single fire mode that depressurizes a little bit, or you can just conventionally reload that purges the gun a little bit more. The single fire mode has got a lock on, however it's a lot more strict and you have to be much closer to the enemy's head for the lock on to appear. Now if I reload again, you can see that the threshold has been met, which is designated by the white part. This part must be depressurized by reloading, and it cannot be depressurized by firing the gun. So now let's just move straight onto the build of the weapon. The weapon's 4 stats are Exterminator for mob damage, Hero Killer for elite and player damage, Lethal for crit damage, and Affiliation for increased faction point reward at the end of the mission. Now, the Sa-dhu is interesting, because the build you choose is just gonna be down to your preference really. Do you see yourself using it more against mobs in PvE or players in PvP? Because radar orientated players might find it more useful to maximize Exterminator and Lethal. However, PvP orientated raiders may prefer to put it on Hero Killer and Lethal instead. Now, as for the cards that synergize with this weapon quite well, unfortunately, a lot of the cards that read on your next reload or on your next shot don't work well with the Sa-dhu, because your reload, well, you have several of them. Each time you depressurize the gun, it counts as a reload. So I had a reload speed card that affected the next reload I did. It wasn't good. It would make my first depressurization quick, and then the rest of them would be, well, they're kind of quick anyway, but you know, you have to do like 10 of them to get rid of the pressure completely. There is one particularly good card that I found so far for the weapon, and it's called Suppressor Valve. Now, this one is when you're bunkered down, aka you're behind a piece of cover and hiding there, whilst you depressurize the gun, it does not stress you out, so your Aleph meter stays hidden, which is perfect for Antagonist and Raider alike really. And overall, this might be the best card for it, but at the end of the day, it's going to be down to what the wider community finds is most useful with this weapon, because I haven't been able to test out the synergy with every card so far. And now let's just have a little bit of a look at the PvP element of this weapon. What happens when you try and use it in Antagonist mode? When I used it, I had to focus on hiding until the sextuple shot was ready, peeking out and using that to kill 2, 3, maybe even 4 raiders at a time, and then going back to hiding. And that's why the card that I mentioned before, Suppressor Valve, is so useful for this, because it lets you hide and depressurize the gun without your position being given away by the stress meter.
Yeah, it's showtime. Impressive.
And finally, there's just one more little thing I wanted to mention about the gun. The auto-aim can actually be a big hindrance to yourself, because it locks onto all targets in your field of view. It will also lock onto targets that you don't want to hit in your field of view, simply because it auto-aims onto everything. So when you're fighting Marmalade, for example, it will lock onto his left eye, which you don't want to hit. You want to hit the right eye, or you want to hit the faces on the side of him. To remedy this, I found 2 ways of going about it. One of them is that if you aim really far away, but you leave the targets that you want to hit just inside of your field of view, you can focus the auto-aim to only target the targets that you can see, if that makes sense. Or repositioning yourself to a position where you can't see the targets you don't want to hit. For example, I move over to the left side of Marmalade, meaning that I can't see the side of his face that I don't want to hit. And that brings me to the conclusion. The Sa-dhu is actually a really nice weapon for Shae. I've liked it more than when I use the focus, and its power actually comes from your positioning and timing the sextuple shot to be ready for when you want to burst down a big target, or to just unleash a load of damage on a boss. I'm interested to see what other card combinations other people find when this weapon is released tomorrow. So thank you for watching everyone.